Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed viewers, today we embark on a remarkable tale, a profound testament to the extraordinary bond that can exist between humanity and the wild tapestry of the natural world. Our story unfolds in the very heart of the enigmatic African continent, where boundless savannas stretch towards the horizon and verdant, dense forests conceal countless secrets. Our protagonist is David, a dedicated game warden, a true son of the African soil who has devoted his entire life to safeguarding the magnificent creatures that share this planet with us. David was more than just a protector. He was a meticulous observer, a man attuned to the very breath and pulse of the forest he called home. He was intimately familiar with the calls of hundreds of avian species, the spoor of countless mammals, and the subtle shifts in the weather, those telltale signs that presage significant events in the natural realm. One particular afternoon, the heavens above underwent a dramatic transformation. Ominous, inky clouds gathered, obscuring the once brilliant sun. A gust of wind arose, carrying with it the heavy humidity and the distinctive earthy aroma that heralded an impending tropical downpour. David, drawing upon his vast experience, knew that this was no mere passing shower. The torrential rains in this region could transform the most tranquil streams into raging torrents in the blink of an eye. When the rain finally unleashed its fury, it descended with an almost unbelievable intensity. Water cascaded down, relentlessly pelting the canopy, washing away the dust and revitalizing the verdant hues of the vegetation. Yet, it also brought with it latent dangers. The small, meandering streams began to swell, their waters rising rapidly, sweeping away anything that lay in their path. As the deluge reached its zenith, David was on patrol in an area bordering a stream that was usually a picture of serenity. Suddenly, his ears caught the anxious growls, intermingled with the distressed whimpers of the very young. Driven by the inherent instinct of a guardian, David immediately directed his steps towards the source of the sound. Upon reaching the location, the scene that unfolded before him caused his heart to clench. A pride of lions, comprising both powerful, mature adults and vulnerable, tiny cubs, were trapped on a small knoll in the middle of the now violently surging stream. The water had risen to such a level that no escape route remained. The lionesses were desperately trying to shield their offspring, but a palpable fear was evident in their eyes. David understood that time was of the essence. The current was growing stronger with each passing moment, and the small island of Earth could be submerged at any time. He could not, in good conscience, abandon these magnificent creatures to such a perilous fate. Despite the inherent risks involved in confronting a panicked pride of lions, David resolved to act. Without a moment's hesitation, David plunged into the frigid, turbulent water. The sheer force of the current attempted to knock him off his feet, but with unwavering resilience and his seasoned experience, he fought his way towards the stranded pride. He knew that even the slightest misstep could have dire consequences. Reaching the precarious knoll, David approached the trembling lions with gentle movements and a soothing tone. He understood that their fear could exacerbate the already critical situation. David began the arduous rescue operation. He carefully scooped up each tiny cub, those fragile lives quivering in his arms, and carried them back to the safety of the bank. The lionesses, initially displaying a degree of apprehension, seemed to sense the genuine sincerity and benevolent intent of this man. They exhibited no aggression whatsoever, but merely watched his every move with anxious eyes. Each crossing of the raging stream, with a small cub in his grasp, was a true test of endurance. David had to battle the relentless power of the water while ensuring the safety of the delicate young lives he held. He could feel their vulnerability, their utter dependence, and he was determined that no harm would befall them. Once all the cubs were safely ashore, David turned his attention to the adult lions. The powerful males, their majestic manes now sodden and heavy with water, were also struggling to find a way across the treacherous current. David utilized large branches as makeshift supports, guiding them step by careful step. Finally, after a period fraught with tension and challenge, the entire pride was safe on the bank. They lay panting, their fur matted and muddy. But in their eyes, David could discern a profound sense of gratitude. He knew that this moment would forever be etched in his memory. The ensuing years passed with a quiet serenity. David continued his work, tirelessly protecting his beloved forest. He would often encounter the same pride of lions during his patrols, and it seemed as though a special connection, a silent understanding, had formed between them. One sweltering day, while David was on his solitary rounds in a familiar part of the reserve, a sudden, searing pain ripped through him. He felt a crushing sensation in his chest. His breath grew shallow and labored, and a violent dizziness caused him to stumble. He desperately clung to a nearby tree trunk, but his strength seemed to have completely deserted him. He collapsed onto the dusty track, lying motionless under the relentless glare of the savannah sun. Time slipped by, and David remained there, unseen and unaware. His condition grew increasingly critical. In his fading consciousness, fleeting images of the forest, of the creatures he cherished, flickered and then vanished. Meanwhile, the pride of lions that David had rescued years prior were resting nearby. The dominant male, with his impressive dark mane and intelligent gaze, seemed to sense a subtle disturbance in the familiar rhythm of the bush. He lifted his head, listening intently to the usual sounds of the forest. Then he tested the air, a faint yet familiar scent reaching his keen olfactory senses. The alpha male rose to his feet, emitting a soft rumble that served as a call to the pride. The entire group, including the lionesses and the now-grown cubs, followed him towards the source of the familiar aroma. They moved silently through the undergrowth, across small rises, until they reached the track where David lay still. Upon seeing the man who had once saved their lives lying inert on the ground, the lions seemed to comprehend the gravity of his situation. The alpha male approached David cautiously, sniffing him gently before nudging him with his head in a tender manner, as if attempting to rouse him. But David remained unresponsive. The lions exchanged glances, of visible unease in their eyes. They seemed to understand that they had to do something to help this man. An extraordinary idea, a remarkable act perhaps never before witnessed, seemed to dawn within the pride. The alpha male stepped out onto the dusty track, lying down directly across the path, effectively blocking it. The other lions followed suit, forming a living barricade, preventing any vehicles from passing. A short while later, a park patrol vehicle appeared in the distance. The driver was astonished to see a pride of lions obstructing the road. He brought the vehicle to a halt, utterly perplexed by the unusual sight. Typically, lions would instinctively avoid human presence in vehicles. The alpha male rose, walked towards the patrol vehicle, and then turned back to look towards David lying motionless by the side of the track. He repeated this action several times, as if attempting to signal the driver to follow him. The driver, initially apprehensive, but observing the lion's persistent and seemingly purposeful behavior, began to suspect that something was amiss. He made the decision to cautiously exit his vehicle and follow the magnificent creature. The lion led the driver directly to where David lay unconscious. Upon seeing the familiar game warden in such a critical state, the driver immediately understood the situation. He swiftly used his radio to report the emergency and request urgent medical assistance. While they waited for help to arrive, the pride of lions remained vigilant, standing guard around David as if protecting him from any further harm. They maintained a respectful distance, exhibiting no threatening behavior towards the driver. Within a short time, an ambulance and a rescue team arrived at the scene. They quickly administered first aid to David and transported him to the nearest hospital. Thanks to the timely intervention of the pride of lions, David's life was saved. At the hospital, doctors diagnosed David as having suffered a severe stroke. Had he not received prompt medical attention, the outcome could have been tragically different. Everyone was astounded to learn that it was a wild pride of lions that had ultimately been responsible for saving his life. The story of David, the game warden, and the lion spread throughout the region, becoming a living legend. It stands as a powerful testament to the profound and sometimes inexplicable connections that can exist between humans and the wild animal kingdom. David had saved the lions in their time of desperate need, and in turn, through their own remarkable actions, they had repaid his kindness and saved his life. This is a poignant reminder of the intricate interdependence within the complex ecosystems of our planet. Every creature, whether human or wild, plays a vital role in the tapestry of life. Acts of kindness and compassion, extended to any species, can yield extraordinary and unexpected consequences. And as we gaze into the eyes of a lion, a creature of immense power and majesty, perhaps we will see not only the wildness within, but also the capacity for gratitude and loyalty, qualities we often mistakenly attribute solely to our own species. This story, ladies and gentlemen, is a hymn to life, to courage, and above all, to the sacred bond between humankind and the natural world, a bond that we have a profound responsibility to protect and cherish.